I'm very honored to come here at Chicago. As he mentioned, Naoki Sakai and Harry Hartunian and Jim Ketterer, they are my old friend. And I was so stimulated by their work, the so-called Chicago School. And I was born in Mito and moved to Shizuoka, a very small national university, Shizuoka University. I was affiliated Russian Marxist historiography, a very typical Japanese old historiography group. And then moved to Todai, working with Professor Shimazo of religious studies. But at the same time, every day I went to the Kokushi National History Department. It's a very severe philological, they believe, neutral philological group. So I was very disappeared how to describe myself or my program, connect in the society. So the historian always talking about society or base structure, that's all. Don't think yourself. Please erase your anxiety to express something. And religious studies always talking about my religion, my hope, something. The extreme separate, two poles. So that time, in 1992, I was come back to the University of Tokyo. The Professor Najita's book, translated by Koyasu Kaitokudo, appeared. Then Harry's book, and Naoki's book, 1990s. So I tried to find out something to bind together my program with social issue, or public and private, how to connect public and private to divine law into one, so-called social war, something. So today, I quote Murakami work, how to locate Japanese contemporary society in order to think of the new narration to describe history or society with our so-called interiority. Murakami showed it is possibility of new narrative. So sometimes this is very quite new for my work, but obviously it leads from my past or my writing. So always thinking, why historians only focus on the social dimension, neglect his own darkness or something? Then they believe, oh, I'm neutral, so I'm just make the bracket myself and describe something. But what happened in 1933 conversion of Marxist? We're Russian Marxists or something very westernized, but we could not understand the Japanese society, so we go back to emperor system. Nowadays, return of nation, as you know, Prime Minister Abe or many Japanese conservative people want to go back to Japan, nationalism. It's very dangerous, especially after 1912. Great East Asian earthquake disaster, many people call for the Thai, national Thai. What is a national Thai? So, this is my talk. Murakami originally started his career, the detachment, so-called detachment, the liberation from the very compulsive, very exclusive Japanese society, how to establish individuality. But then, after his stay at the United States, he came back to Japan and he tried to commit to the Japanese society. Someone called he's a nationalist. He returned to nationalist. He became a nationalist. But I don't think so. So this is some clue to how to think, how to make up the new way to narrate not as a nationalist, how to narrate the social commitment to maintain our interiority or transform both realm, public, private, both realm connected. Some new way of narration of ourselves and the society itself emerged. This is my new trial. And this is Murakami, list of Murakami's work. It's part of Murakami's work. He started 1979. This is the first book. Here's the Wind Scene. But mainly my focus after 1987, Hard-Boiled Wonderland and End of the World. And then 1995, Hanshin Awaji earthquake and Ohm Shindikyo incident. So Murakami have to think of the violence in the Japanese society. Japanese society seemed to be quiet and harmonious, but always violence submerged or immersed under our foot. So how to describe, how to understand such violence beneath our consciousness? And so today, from 1985 to 2013, his work, last work, or one before last work, Tasaki, this is the new work. Soon English version comes, Tasaki Tsukuru と彼の巡礼の年. So I divided my talk into 4 parts. First one, the problem post-war Japan. Second, reading this Tasaki's book, new book. And the third, exclusion and victim of society, to talk about violence and a new form of coexistence. And the final section, listening to the voices, plural, voices of others. How to listen to the voice of the others. So I also committed to, for last several years, to work with Gauri Vishwanath or Homi Baba, Naoki Sakai. They are some kind of categorized as post-colonialist. So now post-colonial thinking is seems to be dead end. Always they're thinking of or appeal the ethics of others, how to think of others. That's one big issue, problem. Who is others? Other is always individualized. So I don't think so. Problem is who is others. We question the notion of other itself. Probably we go to the Lacanian idea of subject. Okay. So it makes some resonance with Chicago School. Some point of reading text and some points utilizing a theoretical framework. This is inspiration getting from Professor Najita and Professor Jim Kettler. So how to make the social intervention to utilize a document with critical theory. And so I want to circulate this book. I only introduce English translation. If you are interested in original Japanese version, my translation, some are J, if I put the quotes page number and quotes J, this is my translation. Very simple, very awkward. So please, if you are interested in his original writing, please read this book. And then first, I moved some photos took by my wife, Northeast Japan, Tohoku, destruction by tsunami. So the one girl, the famous story, one girl on the top of building, she calling, please escape from the tsunami. And she was caught, she was swallowed by tsunami, and she died. Still is some kind of sacred or monumental place. And then this is the aftermath of the tsunami. Still 2011 or 2012, still some parts of water remain. Not in Sendai, far from Sendai, the seashore area of Northeast Japan. Still there are big damage remained. Then, this is not mine, but some photo from some special photographer inside of Fukushima nuclear plant. I guess still same condition continue. And 2011, one month after that earthquake, I went to the Fukushima, Onagawa. Maybe 70% people or 50% people died in this small town, in a seashore fisherman village. The big garbage. Then another area, almost over 3 meters, and the garbage up to the 3 meters. Could you imagine that 3 meters? So long line, 3 meters. And if you see in detail, there are small girls' shoes, boys' ransel, families' album. So now Japanese society start to think after this earthquake, what is our experience of post-war democracy? We are equal society. Why such a disaster happened? Especially nuclear plant makes some ghost town in Fukushima. It leads us to think of Okinawa base or another place, poor area. Always we have social or economic discrimination in the Japanese island. So what is a liberalism? Some people start to talking about liberalism. This is Tarar Assad, the anthropologist Tarar Assad. Liberalism always needs two ideas, compassion and ruthlessness. So compassion, inside to our society, we're very kind to others. But on the other hand, outside our minority, we are very ruthlessness to defend the national inner space. So Tarar Assad criticized the neutrality of liberal democracy. What is the neutrality of liberal democracy? Who or what makes such a liberal equal space? Is it equal? Is it neutral? This is Tarar Assad's crucial critique on the liberalism or liberal democracy. So, going along with Tarar Assad, we want to think of the problem post-war Japan. Japanese society also, we have unevenness of liberal democracy, discrimination, exploitation, and diversity. So my title, unevenness, does not only mean discrimination or inequality. The unevenness comes from my friend Harry Hartunian's terminology. Unevenness sometimes makes a diversity, but sometimes makes a discrimination. Unevenness itself is ambiguous or ambivalent. Inequality is articulate into discrimination, but on the other is articulate into diversity. So post-colonial theory always thinking to how to appeal to maintain the equality or respect of others. But it's just ideal appeal. I agree, totally agree, but it's ideal. Post-war Japan also, we want to believe Japanese society is equal and even. But after 2011, many people began to notice where our society is not equal. So I question this illusion of or phantasm of equality of liberal democracy through the work of Murakami. Murakami is one of the first thinker of this problem, how the Japanese democracy or how Japanese equality has been constituted of. This is my point, why I focus on the Murakami's work. And then nowadays, many Japanese scholars say that we don't have any more to study post-colonial criticism because we are not empire. So it's very strange. So we don't need to anymore to apologize to Korea, Chinese. It is very banal, common attitude in a Japanese society. So they seem to forget the past of Japanese empire. So, but Postcolonial theories always force us to remember of the past of empire. So we have to see our past of post-coloniality as Japanese empire. Then, third problem, how to listen to the voices of others. Of course, you have some question about my statement. Who is others? It's a big problem. Minority, woman, or Korean, or Chinese, or Okinawan, Ainu. That's all. I have another idea. So, end of my talk, I go back to this question. Who is others? How to listen to the voices of others? Already, Murakami referred this problem in the case of Little People in 1984. Okay. The problem post-Japan, Murakami focused on the violence underground his non-fiction. The Kobe earthquake and the Tokyo gas attack of January and March 1995 are two of the greatest tragedies in Japan post-Japan. And they say there was a marked change in the Japanese consciousness before and after these events arriving. They did at the time when Japan's bubble economy burst, common to both was element of overwhelming violence. So usually many people say that around 1995, Murakami's way of writing shifted drastically from detachment to commitment to think of violence. And the critique of Japanese democracy by Murakami is very simple. I cannot judge this is this is his intention or not. But I quote for our staff of our discussion. One person in his novel, he said, "Oh, children have pure heart and people are equal. That's wonderful. But what is the reality? Try making all of them equal. That's okay, but it will be hell on the earth." This is Murakami's thinking, I think. He challenged the idea. Well, we are very happy, everyone are equal, or we try to be equal. What Murakami questions such an idea? What is equal? Such an idea of equality, what it makes to our society. But against Murakami, at least in my case, I wanted to believe, to believe in equality is good. That's all. End up my thinking. Very simple thinking. But today I want to step in further. What is equal in Japanese society? This is the Shindikyo gas attack. And Hanshin Great Awaji earthquake disaster memorial service in this year. And the task of Murakami work, creation new narrative, it's a very interesting statement. Both for night march, eruption beneath our feet from underground, that through all the latent contradictions and weak points of our society, frighteningly highly relieved. And we lost the common barrier. We cannot fight with evil violence emerged through the Shindikyo gas attack and Kobe earthquake. So Murakami saw such an incident. He tried to search some new form of narrative, how to confront violence or unintentional violence. And often he used a deep well, fukai ido, deep well. What I should be looking at is inside of me, like staring down into a deep well. Repeatedly he used this motif, going down well, and he can see or he cannot see anything, just surrounded by darkness. But surrounded by darkness, he started to see something, or to think of. What is a well for him? So Murakami switched, as I said, from detachment to commitment. So he said, to be honest, he wanted to be a cosmopolitan, liberated from Japanese society when he was young, in the beginning of his novelist career. Always he described detachment. But then, after around such an incident, he switched from detachment to social commitment. He said, I think of my social responsibility seriously. What is a social responsibility as a novelist? Okay, we have some key perspective on the Murakami's work. Then we read colorless Tsukuru Tasaki and his years of pilgrimage, 2013. Now, two books circulate among audience. One is Tasaki's book. Another is newest, the collected novels, Men Without Women, 女のいない男たち. But it's amazing that this book, only one day, 300,000 copies is sold out. Always my book limitation 2,000 copies for 10 years. 10 years, 2,000 copies. It's amazing. So I want to know how he catch the heart of readers. But anyway, this is my secret reason why I focus on the Murakami's work. So I want to know his secret. Okay, Murakami, the beginning of his career, he always referred to his feeling of nostalgia of perfect community. He feels it was totally finished. I never returned to me. All the 5 members, his friend has reached at that age. We are not young to dream of perfect harmonious community. It's a sense of loss. He dreamed, or he thought, he experienced harmonious, perfectly community. But now it was lost. How to recover? Or how to give up? This is his starting point. From Norwegian Wood, or Hardboiled Wonderland, or Sputnik Lovers, or everything. He started such a losing of harmonious community. The nostalgia, I call it nostalgia. And Professor Kettler introduced my book, Sense of Loss and Nostalgia come from Murakami's work. 7 years ago. It was the first time I focus on the Murakami's work. And he described sense of loss. Young boy who has the name of Tasaki was died. He was buried in a small open place in the forest. Please remember that the term forest. Forest is very, very important, as you know. Norwegian wood. Something happened in the wood or forest. What is a forest for Murakami? Probably at first it was not clear to himself, but gradually, the meaning of forest becoming clear to him. We trace his thinking on forest with evil. By living our lives, we nurture death. No tongue can cure the sorrow we feel from losing a loved one. All we can do is see it through to the end and learn something from it. But what we learn will no help in facing the next sorrow that comes to us without warning. In the sense of loss or sense of helpless. This is the starting point of Murakami. It makes him detached from the society. And I give a small explanation of the structure of this story. There are 5 members. They're very, very close friends in the high school age or junior high school age. Tasaki Tsukuru is the main person hero. And suddenly he is excluded from other 4 members. No reason. You are excluded. We don't want to talk with you anymore. Please don't call us anymore. Please don't meet to come to us. He cannot understand. And 4 people. And the last person, Shiro, a very beautiful girl and talented with music. But suddenly she committed suicide. No one understands why she died. This is the main structure of this story. So originally they believe we maintained a very harmonious, good community in high school age. But after that, what happened to us? What is such a fissure, such a break happened to me? It's a pilgrimage. So Murakami started to pilgrimage to meet for a friend to search the reason. What happened to me? What gave me some kind of sense of loss? And the exclusion without reason. It is obvious why Tasaki Tsukuru is attracted by death strongly. One day, suddenly he was declared by his close friends that they did not see your face anymore and talk you and anymore suddenly without no space to discuss. No explanation. And as you know, Murakami gets a prize from Kafka, 2006. Murakami always described absurdity of our everyday life. So sometimes, especially recently after Dark Platonic Lovers, there's no conclusion. Always he described perplexity, anxiety. We cannot comprehend, we cannot glimpse, we cannot catch the reality. What is the reality? Just like Jacques Lacan, the real. Always real is out of our perception. No explanation. Norwegian wood, south of border, wind up bird. Always their lovers, his lovers or wife passed away or move or hide without reason. He says something. But recently his novel never succeed to explain why, or intentionally avoid to explain why. Because I guess it's my interpretation. I don't mind his intention. The main point is a reality always out of our perception, out of our reason. We have to survive in such an absurd reality. Then next problem, how to survive, how to make a new connection with others. Who is others? And the pilgrimage, my friend Ian Reader, he explained the pilgrimage, interact with others, Shikoku, walking in Shikoku or walking in Nara or Kyoto, many temples of Kannon. You pray for the Kannon and you walk to many temples and interact with each other, and you catch some meaning of multiplicity of meaning, and you confront the chaos, and lastly you find out something to survive, to step into new life. It's what Ian Reader means through the pilgrimage. So I guess Murakami's the title, Tasaki Tsukuru to Kare no Junrei no Toshi pilgrimage. Quite interesting to meet. Again, he started to meet 3 friends. One is lost, died. So 3 friends to see and try to find out the reason why she died and why I was excluded. Confront, meet the cause, and try to find out a new reason to live. What is a new reason to live? And plurality is a Hannah Arendt's idea. This is Hannah Arendt's Human Condition, 1985. So plurality comes from Hannah Arendt's concept of public sphere. There's got to be million trees. It's Murakami's explanation. Millions of trees in the world, and millions of birds, and millions of rainfalls. But I couldn't even figure out. I'd probably die that way. I just cry and cried. I feel so lonely. Such a loneliness in a plural society. And this is a sense of Murakami's of detachment. It comes from the end of the world. He called end of the world, end of emotion with others. So, hard-boiled wonderland and the end of the world, there is a parallel world. Murakami gives one reason, some guy said to the hero, in time your mind will not matter. It will go, with it goes all sense of loss, sorrow, nor will love matter. So you stop your movement of emotion. So you don't need to love others. You don't need to love your mother, your lover's wife, and father's friend. So you stop to be worried about your emotion. So stop your movement of emotion. It's easy. You go to the end of the world, in the forest, or there. This is the end of the world. Another answer, the hard-boiled wonderland. What is hard-boiled? Probably end of my talk. Again, this issue come up. Then exclusion and victim of society. Then I get try to make some resonance with Giorgio Agamben idea and the state of exception on homosexual. Of course, we have to remember my first slide of Japanese disaster. What is exclusion? What is a victim in the Japanese contemporary society? Fukushima, Northeast Japan, Okinawa. Human weakness. So go back to the Tasaki's novel, Murakami's novel, Tasaki Tsukuru. Shiro, one heroine, died, suddenly committed suicide. She tried to protect herself while she was injured deeply. She is a weak person. She did not succeed enough to get the hard shell in order to protect herself. Consequently, how far she tried to run away, she could not escape. Murakami always used this phrase, could not escape, although she tried. The dark shadow with violence chased her relentlessly. Also he used the phrase, darkness or dark shadow or evil. Escape from darkness, but darkness swallowed her. So she died. The end of the world. And Murakami explained her personality or personal situation. She had a good talent of music, but it was not the level of talent which she needed. It was helpful to live in a small world. On the other, not enough to go out to wider world. If you want to go out to wider world, you need some strongness or some talent to survive yourself. But it is not enough. You cannot leave your hometown. You cannot grow up yourself. This is Murakami's explanation. So this is the reason why Shiro committed suicide. Though against Shiro, or to make the contrast with Shiro, in his novel, there are many typical person or so-called evil person. And like a Shiro, person caught by evil, make a coupling. Wind up, Bad Chronicle, Underground, Sputnik, Kafka, of course, Asahara is the main person, evil in Underground, After Dark. And banality, violence and banality of evil, Murakami described. Noble Wataya had some special power. Noble Wataya is characterized as an evil person in Chronicle of Winding Bird. And he knew how to feel people who are responsible to that power to draw something out to him. Now he's trying to bring out something that the great mass of people keep feeling in the darkness, in the unconsciousness or forest. It is fatally smeared with violence and blood, and it has a direct connection with the darkest depths of history, going down on the well. Because it finds effect is to destroy and obliterate people on a massive scale. So some evil person want to control the people to go forward to the violence, or he or she want to manipulate the people to kill each other or something. Such a people, Murakami explicitly emphasized, such a kind of people exist in our society always. Weak people committed suicide or to be killed, to be killed by the evil person. Or on the other hand, evil person want to kill someone. So such a contrast. We are not equal. This is the meaning, one of the meaning which I want to use terminology, unevenness. Some people are evil. Some people caught by evil. Some people killed by evil. So such an unevenness of society, Japanese society never explained seriously. So I was high school teacher before going to the graduate school. 5 years I taught at high school, very, very rural high school in Ibaraki prefecture. So every day, the student makes some problem, quarrel or manbiki or something, or hitting or something. But the many senior teachers told me, they are good, they are nice, you have to teach, you have to educate. Education is not enough. Keep the patience, so teach them to be good. So this is a very typical educational style of Japanese school. But still, we have many problems in the high school. Not only in Japan, I think so. But anyway, in Japan, we try to believe you have to be good because you are good. But not so useful idea in our everyday life. So then I quote another idea, another thinking, imperial democracy from American scholar. So he said imperial democracy is a contradiction because imperialism is very, very bad. Democracy is very good. Why Taisho democracy, imperialism coexists with democracy? It's very strange, sort of contradiction he described. Unfortunately, I don't agree with him. Imperialism allows to be democratic, to exclude colonized, to exclude minority, exploit from minority, get some civil rights. It's Agamben's idea, how we establish democratic or public space. Or Hannah Arendt, up to our interpretation, but Hannah Arendt also public space always excludes slave and woman. So such an exclusion requires a common place of agora. How to think of such a contradiction? If he called contradiction, necessary contradiction, I agree with him. Imperialism allows to be democratic. But on the other hand, I can say democracy requires imperialism. And Nishikawa Nagao, he passed away last year. He's a professor of Ritsumeikan University. He said, inner colonialism. In Japanese island, Japanese nation state, we have inner colony, Okinawa, Fukushima, or Hokkaido, or everywhere we can find out inner colony. We always make the discrimination or economic gap in Japanese society and metropolitan, or even in the metropolitan, metropolis, upper class and lower class makes the gap. So such a structure of unevenness or discrimination, we make public space on the exploited people. So I have to think of what is a democracy. Not only liberal democracy, probably democracy itself. We have to think of such a plurality, Arendt said, plurality of public sphere. How we constitute a plural public sphere. So, problem of Japanese society, Murakami criticized Japanese society. Japanese institutions remain inner circle upon inner circle, acutely sensitive to any public loss of faith, unwilling to expose their failing to outsider. Typically in Japan, the order, in order to keep mum, is never a direct order, but rather a sort of soft feathering from above, where it's over and down with anyway. Probably best not to say any more than we have to. So, such a situation, we maintain the perplexity or contradiction of democracy or evenness in ideal dimension. But under such ideal evenness, what happened in Japanese society? This is a point after 1911 explore. Of course, before 2011, such a situation continued, but we didn't want to notice that. But after that, we have to see what happened in the Japanese society. What have happened? And the exclusional victim of community, Murakami, from Tasaki's novel, there are so many things in our life not to be dealt with favor. Our life is long and something hard. It's something occasion victims are needed. Someone has to play the role of victim. His or her body is fragile and easy to be injured and bled. Such a motif of his novel comes from Norwegian root or many novels. True new work. And it leads us to think of the Agamben's state of exception or homo sacer. So if we try to think of people as integral body, but always notion of people requires excluded people. People makes a fissure, makes a gap inside of the idea of people, never integrated. So if we say we, such a we presumes exclusion. It comes from Agamben's idea. It's very interesting. Probably, or certainly, Agamben problematized the notion of democracy itself. And the unevenness of society, Murakami, it's a very interesting quote. There are categorized two kinds of people in our society. One guy, Tasaki's friend, he described society. Two kinds, actually three kinds of people. One is an obedient people, outlaw, never follow someone's recommendation or someone's teaching or someone's command. They totally refuse any kind of constructive matters outsider. And another kind of person is able to consider of things seriously by themselves. It's a kind of elite. And they have the leadership to make a good society. But between them, two kind of people, these two kind of people groups, there is a huge number of population who follows command from top without doubt, without question. I give another name, Banality of Evil, the case of Eichmann in Hannah Arendt. Hannah Arendt, famous book, Eichmann in Jerusalem, she described why Eichmann killed many Jews. He's a nice guy, he was a nice guy. He had not bad intention to kill the Jews. He said he just follows the command. I don't want to problematize, I don't want to question Arendt's judgment is right or not. But I just get some inspiration from her description, so-called banality of evil, not to talking about Eichmann himself. He was not stupid. It was sheer thoughtlessness, something by no means identified on stupidity. This is banal and even funny. So, banal of evil, it makes a connection with the third category described by Murakami, between outlaw and elite. Murakami described 80% of people is typical of third category. They never think, how do I do? Just follow. But I think if we think of the unevenness of society, we have to think of such existence of the people to stop of thinking. The democracy education, we are saying we have to be mature, we have to be good, because we have natural ability as the same as a human being. But Murakami did a novel described in another way about our reality. Always someone killed or someone suicide, someone excluded, and someone getting power. Such unevenness is a starting point for our discussion to make a new ethics coexist together. But if such an ideal situation, evenness, equality is a starting point, we miss the point about real society. This is a point which I learned from Murakami. The reason for my exclusion out of the community, Murakami, Tasaki, he found out the reason why I was excluded. Because the guy of Tasaki, hero of this new novel, only him moved from Nagoya to Tokyo. The 5 persons in the high school age, they live in Nagoya. Only Tasaki moved to university in Tokyo. So 4 still remain in Nagoya. So Tasaki suspect or imagined this is the reason why I was excluded. So who broken up the harmonious community? Tasaki moved to another world. So 4 is remained. So they are angry at Tasaki. And this is another description. One guy said, we are not strong to bear the coming pressure. Or the girl committed suicide, not strong to bear the coming pressure, not able to escape existence, so we need a betrayer. So it makes a problem, that makes a question, who or what is independent, individuality? So Murakami, the hero, want to be individual from harmonious community. I am I, I am I, you are you, and connect together. But such a move from Nagoya to Kyoto gave a big influence on the remnant other member of 4. Murakami writes about individual subjectivity in his essay in Om Shinrikyo. My different point from Om Shinrikyo's follower is takes the responsibility, final responsibility as a subject. Obviously, we as novelists have to take responsibility in order to write a novel. Individual responsibility. I am I. It's me. So we have a clear boundary of individuality. We take a responsibility. We establish identity. so I can write something. This is one point, first point of Murakami's idea of individuality, just first point. But a follower of Om for Murakami, they abandon such a decisive power of individuality, just follower of Asahara, like 80% people of population, which Tasaki's friend described among the between two categories of people, elite and out of 80%, they are nice and good, but just follow the command without doubt. Such kind of people Murakami overlapped with the follower of Om Shinkyo. But another point, I think Murakami is a very, very postmodern thinker. Me, and at the same time, not me. So individuality is individuality. It's clear. But at the same time, individuality is not individual. Not totally individualized. Of course, as a novelist, I know that my mind is critical to doing my job. Take away the mind, I'll never write on the original story again. So he believed in his individuality or subjectivity in this sense. Still, at this point, I did not feel like my mind was important. In another essay, he said, I'm part of void. I'm part of emptiness. I'm running in the emptiness. I cannot be emptiness. I cannot be void because I'm a human being. I have always thinking of something. But part of void. So, like a Derrida, always we are making a difference. So the part of void, but we try to make the identity. I'm me, and at the same time not me. This is a crucial point of his idea of subjectivity. It's a postmodern thinking. So popularized postmodern thinking, you reject subjectivity, no subject. It's a postmodern thinking. But I think this is totally misunderstanding on postmodern idea. Postmodern always, like Lacan, presumes subjectivity, but slash subjectivity. What is a bracket? What is a suspended subjectivity? Subjectivity exists, but same time bracketed, same time suspended. And then it's me and not me. Such a makes balance to establish our subjectivity. In this sense, for Murakami, subjectivity is not confined to individual, I guess. And such a subjectivity wears the color of evil in the Murakami case. Even, of course, including himself. Gaze at evil in myself. Potentially, there are something evil and violent in my mind. As I said, Shiro, the Tasaki, I may have other face which none. It is other side of the moon in darkness. Maybe Tasaki raped Shiro. Tasaki killed Shiro. Tasaki could not be convinced he raped Shiro, but may or might. It's a darkness. May catch me. So always darkness beneath our consciousness. We are not totally clean. We are not totally pure. It's also post-colonial or postmodern thinking. We are not clear. We are not reasonalized. But try to make the balance. So gradually we are understanding Murakami's deep thinking of subjectivity on the evil and the community. Here, new form of coexistence, how such a subjectivity, suspended subjectivity coexists together with including the dark spiritual law. So this is another friend, Taro Assad. I quote here his work of compassion of pain. Compassion of pain. This is a quote from Murakami's new novel. The relationship between human hearts is not only harmonious, rather it is tied deeply by our wants, pains, and fragility. No peace without painful cries, no forgiveness without bleeding. This is, I think, core idea of Murakami's way of coexistence. As on suicide bombing, he refers Christ's death on the cross. It's a sacrifice for the others. And he criticized fundamental Christian. Christ died for the others, so we don't need to suffer anymore. But he criticized such an attitude. No, you also overlap with Christ on the death. You have to suffer with compassion towards others. You also are Christ on the cross. Sensibility, he used sensibility to human pain makes our new type. This type doesn't make the form of nationalism, because nationalism always tries to allow us to forget the pain. We are very happy, we are equal. What is equal? In the nationalism sense and another sense, the other sense, we feel the pain. And Murakami, new novel, the last part, the hero said, I want to be a station for my lovers. My lover come. I want to be station. The tsukuru. Tsukuru means the construction of the station. Construction of the station. Many people come to my station and go through. That's fine. And some people stay with me. So I want to be a station so people come or come across. Homibara said it's a narrative is a relation oneself to others. Murakami preferred using a narrative. Narrative relate oneself to others. So he feels to Sarah, needs Sarah, the new lovers. It is wonderful to need someone from the bottom of the heart. Needless to say, everything is not all right. So some possibility, Sarah refused his love, his proposal. But it is reality. Some pain or some disappointment happened. This is not end of the world. This is not end of the emotion. So always pain or suffering one happen. But we have to accept or bearing such a situation, coexist to the compassion of pain. I think it is a recent direction of Murakami's writing, how to find out coexistence with others. Then Murakami refers to metaphor, deep forest and little people. End of this book. Please be careful. Don't be astray in a deep forest and not to be caught by evil little people. Little people is a main person or main motif in 1984 novel. And deep forest, Norwegian root, Kafka, many novels Murakami used deep forest. What is a deep forest and little people? So, if we have a compassion with others, it is easy to solve the problem, how to make the new situation or new connection of society. But as maybe you noticed, you are not happy with my statement, because my student in Kyoto, in university, they sometimes make question to me, Professor, you are great, you have a compassion or pain. But I'm a very small person, I'm very common people, I'm not intellectual, so I don't want to have compassion or pain towards others. I'm always thinking of myself. It is my limitation, my ability. How do I have a pain towards others? Not so easy. Or how to treat of our evilness, evil. Not so easy. So if Murakami or Asado said that's the end to think of the compassion or others' pain, that's a very happy story. But It's another happy story, like a post-war Japan democracy. We have to step further into more. So Murakami focused on the deep forest and little people. Deep forest, if easy to get lost if you go any further. So not so easy to keep yourself in a deep forest, isolated, meet strange people, you are so always perplexed, you are alienated, so lost direction. The forest makes darkness surrounding you. But Murakami said, I head off into the heart of the forest. Okay. And he described octopus. Octopus in the deep sea catch us. We cannot kill the octopus. Octopus is a metaphor of evil. Evil always under the beneath our consciousness. We cannot catch, we cannot kill. So it's also interesting. So we cannot erase the evil. Murakami said we cannot erase the evilness of ourselves. Always evil exists under our feet. So evilness sometimes emerge, catch us. So how to keep the distance from evilness is very important. But Murakami said, don't try to kill such octopus. Don't try to erase such a darkness. It's impossible. Please keep the distance. So then little people, he described little people instead of big brother, George Orwell. Big brother is evil. Obvious, no one, everybody knows this is evil. But little people not so easy to, this is evil. Or Murakami question, little people is evil? This is deepest point in the Murakami's writing. Murakami question whether little people is evil. 1984, he questioned who or what is evil. We don't know if the so-called little people are good or evil. This is, in a sense, something that surpasses our understanding, our definition. We have lived with them since long, long ago. But the important thing is that whether they are good or evil, right or short, exists their power and compensatory force come into being. So we cannot escape from the little people. And here, 1984, he obviously described we cannot define little people, or formerly he called evil. Is evil or not? Not so easy to describe. And then 1984, the figure like Asahara, a religious person, he raped his daughter and young children. And then he said, my role is listen to the voice from the little people. My role, listen to the voice. It was because in those days, the king was the one who listened to the voices as the representative of the people, and slaughtering the one who listened to the voices was an indispensable task of the community. So here we reach at the end point of what is listening to the voice? Voice is from little people. Then who is the little people? And Murakami said how to deal with evil. Don't kill, don't erase evil. It's impossible. Keep the distance. Remain the evil in the darkness. Enclose the darkness. Don't bring them emerge in our public sphere, emerge in our inner sight, open space. So my friend, my teacher of Lacanian analysis, Tsuiki Kosuke of Kyoto University, he wrote the contemporary civilization says explore your darkness. 露出へと現代文明は言う。What is the 露出 of darkness of your interiority? So remains dark, evil in your darkness. We cannot erase, and we don't need to erase such evilness. But we have to keep evilness in the dark place, like an octopus in the deep sea. But like Asahara's case or earthquake, sometimes natural violence or human violence emerged. So Murakami thinks furthermore than my former statement. So he wants to think, what is the evil? What is our democratic society? We cannot stop the movement of evil, but try to keep some distance. We have to learn deal with the evilness. It's quite far from the idea of liberal democracy in the post-war Japan. Liberal democracy or democratic education always say we don't have such evil in our mind, just deviation from our healthy mind. So you really educated, you erase such evil. But Murakami has another opinion about our observation on evil. We cannot erase the evil. It's a natural ability. Or we should not call it as only evil. Little people go beyond the dichotomy, evil and good. Some voice from little people. Problem is how to listen to the voice from little people. So it's very close to the idea of objection of Chris Taylor. Yeah. And Murakami listened to the small voice. He repeatedly chronicled, listen to the voice. The voices without voices, even voices without voices, words without words. We have to listen to the voice. So go back to end of my talk. The first work of his Hear the Wind Sing. At the time, hear, not listen. But anyway, 風の歌を聞け. Hear the wind sing. And he described the dead. It is very difficult to talk about the dead. But now, after 40 years later, he tried to listen to the dead. It's some kind of answer to the first work in the recent work. And then go back to the disaster in northeast Japan. It's a Jizo kind of baby Buddha in Ishinomaki near Sendai. The tsunami crushed, destroyed all temple, all houses, and the Jizo was under the garbage rubbles. And the people, after 1 month or before 1 month, immediately after the disaster, they dig up, excavated Jizo on the street and wrapped. Jizo's neck is broken. They put together and wrapped the body and pray. And this is a Jizo. Not so easy to see, but there is a big fissure, still big fissure. And the thing is carved, so try to recover, but not so easy. But such a figure of Jizo is very interesting. Keep the injured state of Jizo. So it suggests me to how to coexist together. They have a pain, or we have a pain, in some sense, all people. And we have some compassion to each other. Jack Lacan, then who is other? Who is the Jizo? People, in some sense, the Jizo is the dead who were killed in a tsunami. The people in Ishinomaki pray for their family who died by tsunami. Still, they are praying for the every day. But who is the other? Jack Lacan, in my understanding, categorize two kinds of others, big other, small other. Big other are fixed by other significant, like an emperor one case is an emperor. Japanese nationalism catched by emperor, or nationalism utilizes the significance of emperor. So we cannot escape such a fixed signifier. But the small other, petit autre, always escape from the fixed meaning. The small other always escape from our definition, like a little people. Up to our definition, up to our narration, up to our narrative. How to narrate such a small voice from unreduced to the fixed big other. Who is the Jizo? It's up to their definition, up to our narration. So Murakami and Kafka, I want you to remember me. If you remember me, then I don't care if everyone else forget. Then this is a voice from her mother, hero's mother. But it's very tricky. Who is I? We probably give the name. This is a Sayaki, his hero's mother. Or my wife, your husband, your father. But this is the point, how to give the name the other, big other, small other. In some case, in Hisaichi, disaster area, emperor come to Japan, and they are very happy. They teared. Oh, emperor. And this is a Heisei emperor. He seemed to be nice. My mother and father love him. Yeah. My mother's father, both fathers died under the war, Russia. But still they love. He's nice, gentle to us. But they don't like Hirohito. Very nationalistic and imperialistic. But I want to promote that emperor system itself is a voice of fixed significance. Fixed significance catch us. We cannot escape. Like an evil, totalizing us, totalizing. Murakami said, it's me, but at the same time, not me. But I am Japanese nation. Any possibility to answer in another way, nothing. It's a fixed significance. This is a last quote. In Ishinomaki, in the totally destructed Shinto shrine. As you know, the modern Shinto shrine, all modern Shinto shrine worship the family god or related to the emperor. Like a state Shinto system. All Shinto shrine renamed, related with the name of emperor system. So if we go to the Shinto shrine, if you pray, then automatically it means to worship the emperor. But here, who is Hotei-san? Hotei-san is not the emperor. Here, Hotei. So the totally crushed by tsunami, and the people pick up some fragment and make the stone together, and the people pray here. But main god is not emperor. I call it a suspended time, escape from emperor. No one can describe it. This is a nation state, this is an emperor system, this is a state Shinto. The escape from the modern state Shinto system. And the gate, someone brings a crushed folk, their faces are crushed, injured. They pray, they don't mind. Probably 1 or 5 or 3 years later, the Shinto shrine totally will be restored, recovered, with the name of emperor. But now, temporary, suspended time. You remember, small other, unreduced, unknown voice from the other, function to tie the people together with the injury or with pain. It is not so easy to find to ask them to feel the compassion to the others. But if you go to the Hisaichi, the disaster area, you find such a same scenery everywhere. Suspended time. Of course, some Shinto shrine already totally recovered with emperor, and the people worked for the emperor. And 1 month ago, Meiji Shrine make a big campaign even in the Asahi Shimbun. Fukushima people, Okinawa people come to Meiji Shrine, they make a ceremony in front of the Meiji Shrine, work for to show the loyalty for Meiji Shrine. Why such a disastrous people that pray for the Meiji Shrine? So they need a fixed big A, voice from the big A. Emperor save us. So we have some choice. Yeah. Murakami said, I choose to live. I love her. I love with my lovers. And I want to be strong. I want to be matured and take a sense of responsibility. I don't now happy with detachment. So how to continue of thinking on his writing in order to revision of post-Japanese society? It's not on particular to Japanese society to this thinking of democracy or liberal democracy itself. Thank you very much.
Well, we had a reception starting at 6:30. So we talked long enough to make it into something of the Japanese style where there's all the back and forth. But just a little bit, let's have one or two do that, and then we can adjourn downstairs. So we'll be a discussion about saying on both floors, a fairly substantial one, so please join us. And we'll have the opportunity to speak in greater length with Professor Isomae. But at this point, one or two questions or comments? Or is everyone hungry? Myself?
We can go back to your opening point about the popularity of Murakami. And I wonder if you connect that, is that overwhelming popularity a sign of evenness or unevenness? How does the incredible popularity of Murakami, particularly among a certain generation, relate to the problem of unevenness?
So one possibility why Murakami gets such a popularity, consciously the reader cannot understand why they are attracted in Murakami's writing. But unconsciously, I guess, or my friend said, such a violence and unevenness is a very common in a Japanese society. So he described, this is a reality we confront. So they cannot neglect his description on the Japanese reality. And the Abe government more expand such a gap, social gap. So that we are very, very ambiguous and perplexed. We have anxiety described by Murakami.
Yeah, thank you. It was really interesting. I'm wondering if you see maybe Murakami saying that there's a privileged role, a privileged position for the author within society to be the one who listens, the one who's able to listen to the voices of the other, and also listen to the voices of evil, per se, and not be seduced, because there is a sort of listening and seduction connected at the same time. And I'm wondering if you see maybe he's trying to carve a space for authorship in this sort of society of suspended animation.
Yeah, I agree. Murakami has a privileged position as a novelist, or you and me, we are scholar, to have ability of representation, that as Edward Said said, representation, or represent someone. Instead of someone, we represent something. So Murakami said, we have a responsibility of representation. So, such a people have to play a role, like a king to the little people.
If the darkness is kept away, don't we run the risk of failing to deal with it effectively?
How do you think?
Isn't there an advantage to bringing the octopus out, confronting it, rather than just saying, no, keep it in the dark, don't go there, don't look at it? Isn't that that willful ignorance equally dangerous?
Very difficult question for me. I have one suggestion. I remember one case. He's my friend. He studies history of notion, history of concept, the religion or democracy. Anyway, he traces the history of notion, but always he repeats trace A notion, B notion. But the darkness is very interesting. If you such a notion catch you, you cannot escape in affection, in emotion. So problem is keep the distance. But as you said, don't neglect, don't turn your face to see, try to see the darkness. But don't be swallowed in the darkness. But Murakami always describes the hero: put yourself in the darkness, but not to be swallowed into darkness. How to dislocate the category or dislocate of a notion, dislocate of the affection. Put yourself, but dislocate such a status, not swallowed, but catch by something. This is not enough by my thinking and Murakami's thinking, but this is a point how to think of the relationship or keep the distance with darkness. I need to think furthermore. Yeah.
One more, Yuki.
Hi, thank you very much for the talk. I was wondering, for example, and I was very intrigued by your concepts of big other and small other. And I was wondering what you think about, for example, Alain Badiou was saying in the book Ethics, there is a provocative chapter entitled, Does the Other Exist? Because he thinks that everyone is different from each other to a different degree. So he even criticizes that such concept of the other is the capitalist enterprise that sometimes, just attracting tourists. So I wondered what you think about his criticism of the other in relation with unevenness and democracy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have not read Badiou's this book, so I should read. But at least for me, the other is not individualized subject. The postmodern theory, other, the you other, I subject, or you subject, I'm other. But other is something, unknown other, unfixed other, make some space, or I'm always thinking about the Arendt case, plurality. What is a plurality? Or Arendt, individual person meet together, collect together, is a plurality. What is a public space? Oh, public space is consisted of individual. But I'm not happy with such a situation, idea. Other, some voices from the other make us together. Then we are subjectified. So in this sense, I want to subjectify, individualize others as an individual subject. Beyond the individual subject, I'll try to categorize the other, unknown other. But my thinking stop here, and probably I have to read Badiou and then think more. Yeah, but I was so surprised. I had an experience of analysis of Lacanian psychoanalysis. My analyst Tasaki Tsukuru said, your subjectivity is constructed by the voice of others, but this other is unknown. This other is not analyst. This is not your mother, your father. Unknown other, unfixed, or calling you. And then I'll say, oh, who called me? I'm idealized. So how to describe the other, not the form of individual subject, is very important. This is temporal reply.